You know, let's actually do what I say I'm gonna do for once. So the newest chapter hit the player desk build this morning, alongside a chapter reveal video for what is to be called the Cursed Legacy. Turns out most of my guesses in that last video are right, so this video almost doesn't need to exist, but hey, we all have hobbies. I'll start with a new killer called the Oni, which is frankly a giant fucking beast that carries a heavy goods license in his katana sheath, but you know, I was right about it not being Rin's father, which is about as validated as I ever get, but I like how it's not overly attached to Rin to the point of making things a little too Japanese. The Oni is a fairly normal killer, to be upfront and frank. His ability allows him to collect falling blood from survivors in order to fill up a meter, which lets him trigger a demon mode. Once triggered, this makes him pull out the paddle and gives him access to more abilities. There is the Demon Strike, which is a lethal lunge that will knock down any survivor in one hit, and there's also a Demon Dash that increases his movement speed with a fair degree of control, which can be chained into the Demon Strike. That's really about it when it comes to him. Granted though, if you're paying attention to the bottom half of your screen, you could probably put together why my opinion isn't worth all that much. Everyone says he sucks, which probably means he'll be mid to top tier by next week, but that's just me using my powers of noticing a pattern when it's blatantly obvious. I'm going to talk about the survivor perks first, because honestly, I would say this chapter is probably going to be survivor dominated in that department. Don't worry, I'll make it fast, because I know that no one comes to me for in-depth analysis when all of the material has been gathered from forum posts and spite. Yui Kimura is the newest survivor, and she comes with 3 perks that are actually useful in some sense. Her first perk is Lucky Break. Whenever she gets hit, the perk activates and removes her blood trail for 120 seconds. Once that timer is up, she starts bleeding again. I think this is probably her worst perk of the 3, and even then, it isn't that bad. Usually if you're injured and running away, the faint little drops of blood on the floor aren't going to be what's giving you away. Her second perk is definitely the one that will keep people awake though, and it's called Any Means Necessary. It's pretty simple as is. You can take 3 seconds to pick a dropped pallet back up. It's on a cooldown of 2 minutes, and that's kind of it. This one is probably my favorite of the 3, as you can be used in a variety of ways. Either while you're just walking around, you can pick up one if you see it, or you can try to risk picking up a dropped pallet in a chase if you're crazy, or most likely, you can help out a friend in danger by picking up a pallet they need, since they're getting chased and not you. It all sounds pretty good to me. Her final perk is called Breakdown. When a survivor is being carried by the killer, if you run up to them, you will both run faster, and they will break out of the grasp faster. I have no clue what this stacks, but I see it being pretty insane to put up with. Imagine being swarmed by Survive with friends running this. You'll go fucking mental. Now finally for the Oni's perks. They're not Demogorgon levels of useless, just mediocre to the point of boredom. His first perk is called Zansun Tactics. It's basically just windows of opportunity for killers. You see pallets, you see windows, and that's really it. I don't find this one being all that helpful except for maybe the trap placing killers, but even then, there's only 2 of them. His second perk is probably his best, and it's called Blood Echoes. Every time you hook someone, every other injured survivor is affected by hemorrhaging and exhaustion for 45 seconds. I only really say it's useful because you might be able to slow down some people with this exhaustion effect, either by getting them to stop sprinting in order for it to recover, or to just prevent them from using their abilities. I plan to experiment with it a bit, because it's totally possible that this is just garbage mode, but I think it might be helpful for the Oni as his ability thrives on leaving injured survivors around to gather their blood. His final perk is Nemesis. Whenever you get stunned by a survivor, that survivor becomes your obsession, and whenever someone becomes your obsession, they become oblivious for 40 seconds. And now for a quick lesson on what the word oblivious means. Not aware of, or not concerned with what is happening around one. You want to know what isn't oblivious? Someone that just hit a samurai with a piece of driftwood. I can't even fathom why bothering with this one. You don't need to hide your presence from someone who already knows where you are. The only value I can see is maybe teaming this up with Furtive Chase, because someone has to find a place for that fucking perk. Hey, don't worry, Ghostface, there's nothing wrong with being useless and edgy. I mean, I know at least 2 people that still watch Tokyo Ghoul. I think I might stick Blood Echoes on a few killers like Plague or Pig, but to be frank, I'm talking so far out of my ass when I try to assess the viability here that I might as well be trying to play guess what the devs are gonna break next. From my absolutely uneducated stance here, I'd say the killers seem a bit more on the uninteresting side. I'm a fan of flashy stuff that looks cool, and outside of looking like the guy at the Chinese buffet that takes all the crab legs, I don't find the Oni all that exciting. Though I guess anything's better than the Demogorgon, Jesus Christ. I think I'll place this lot into the B- tier with a +5 for not paying attention. One last note though, I'm very surprised we got a new map since that wasn't mentioned in the roadmap earlier, and those nerfs to Spirit looks like they're going to light the forums on fire for a bit, so I'm going to leave that alone, except I won't. I'm a bit disappointed with the prayer beads nerf. Like, I understand Gen Grabber Spirit was a bit dumb, but that add-on was kind of fun to use. Honestly, I bet if they just swapped the prayer beads rarity with the promise ring, they would be perfectly fine and no one would have cared, but I guess it's too late now. Speaking of promises, I'll be making a video when these guys hit the live server, and as a consequence of my impoverished ass, you get to see it. If you enjoyed this video, though I don't know why you would, feel free to leave a like, and if you want to see more of this drivel, feel free to subscribe. Take care of yourself. I'm gonna go cut myself off with catchy music to disappoint.